Hopefully you have just aced the test, and now we are going to do derivatives of inverse trig functions. Inverse trig functions we usually see written as inverse sine, like that. Well, in calculus they write it a little differently, and they call it arc sine or arc secant or arc tangent. So what they are is the inverse. So you're trying to, we use inverse trig to be able to find the angle when we know the sides of a triangle. So these are your derivative formulas, so I'll let you copy those down. When you're done copying, unpause the video, and we will get started. So here is our first problem. So we're going to be looking at that first one that you wrote down. So we have to determine what u is. You should say that u is x minus 1. So we're going to do 2 arc sine of u. The derivative of arc sine was u prime. So the derivative of u is 1. So that goes on top. Over the square root of 1 minus u squared. Then we can't forget that little 2 that was here. It's 2 times all this. So I'm going to change that on top to a 2. So we have to take 2 times. And you're done. See if you can do this one on your own. Unpause the video now, or pause it and then unpause. You should say u is x over 2, which is the same thing as a half x. So the derivative of u is a half. So we have 3 arc cosine of u. Well, arc cosine's derivative is negative u prime. So negative u prime over the square root of 1 minus u squared. And u was a half x squared. Don't forget about that 3. That 3 is being multiplied. So we got 3 times the negative half, which is negative 3 halves. But I don't want a fraction within a fraction, so I can just move that 2 to the bottom with the square root. Like that. We get negative 3 over 2 times the quantity half of 1 minus a half x squared. There you go. So see if you can do this one on your own. You should say u is x over a. So the derivative of u is 1 over a. So arctangent of u, its derivative is u prime, so 1 over a, divided by 1 plus u squared. To rewrite so we don't have a fraction within a fraction, we would have 1 over a times 1 plus x over a squared. Don't worry about rewriting if you don't want to. So here we got arc sine 3x over x. You have x in 2 spots, so therefore you're going to have to do product or quotient rule. So we're going to do quotient rule. So low is x, high is arc sine of 3x. Derivative of your low is 1. See if you can do the derivative of your high on your own. You should say u is 3x. So the derivative of u is 3. And we are doing arc sine of u. So you get u prime, which is 3, over 1 minus u squared unsquared. There's our derivative. So we're going to crisscross. And when we do, we get 3x over 1 minus 3x quantity squared unsquared equals arc plus, not equals, plus arc sine of 3x times 1. You're done. So here we got sine of arc cosine x. So some of you are probably thinking, ooh, product rule. Are there two x's? No, there's just one. So I'm going to make the parentheses my u. So I'm going to do sine of u. What's the derivative of sine u? You should say cosine u. Derivative of u, over here, we got arc cosine x. So we're going to have a w, which is x. So we really have u is arc cosine of w. I need another c in there. So arc cosine is, well, let's do the derivative over here, is 1. So we got derivative of u is -1 over the square root of 1 minus u squared, which our u is x squared. So then we get to put in these together. So we have cosine of u, which is cosine of arc cosine of x, times that jazz. What would be cosine of arc cosine? So you're doing cosine of the inverse. What if those cancel each other out? Interesting. You get x, just saying. Right, so we've got x arc cosine x minus 1 minus x squared. Unsquared. So for this first part, you need to do the product rule. So our first is x, our second is arc cosine of x. So our first derivative is 1. Arc cosine of x, we just found its derivative was -1 over the square root of 1 minus x squared. Crisscross, and you get -x over square root of 1 minus x squared plus arc cosine of x. So for this back part, we have minus that. That's to an exponent. So we're going to have to rewrite that as u to the half, where u is 1 minus x squared. Derivative of u is -2x. Here our derivative is -half u to the -half. So let's put it all together. So we have minus 1 over 2. That u I'm going to put on the bottom and put it to a positive half. So u was 1 minus x squared. Du is -2x, so I'm going to put that on top. Well, a negative and a negative would make a positive. So we got plus 2x. You should see that the 2's cancel. So I'm going to erase those now. And we just have positive x over 1 minus x squared to the half. Notice this term and that term are the same, so you end up with just arc cosine of x. This one was negative, that one was positive, so they cancel.